Hey, what's up, Spencer? My name is everybody, and welcome back to another reading vlog. St. Patrick's Day weekend just ended. I am so tired because I just spent the past 3 days dancing at about 15 different shows. I am an Irish step dancer, so obviously because of St. Patrick's Day weekend, we were invited to go to a lot of different places and perform, and I am absolutely exhausted, which means that I just want to chill and read and hang out and stretch because my muscles are sore and just, you know, have a nice, chill, fun reading vlog time. Speaking of reading, what are we reading? I'm actually in the middle of reading a whole bunch of different stuff. I have a lot of things that I really need to get out of the way. First one that I need to finish is Lion Boy the Truth by Zizu Corridor. This is the third and last book in the Lion Boy trilogy, which is about a boy named Charlie Ashanti who has the power to talk to cats and lions, and his parents have created the cure for asthma, but they've been kidnapped by the big pharmaceutical company because they want the cure to asthma so that they can then sell it and monetize it and make a bunch of money off of it. I absolutely love this series. This is a favorite of mine from elementary school, and I don't know anybody else who's ever read these books, so if you have, please comment down below. These are one of my favorite book series ever. It's so good. I'm also about halfway through The Snow Garden by Christopher Rice. This is it's technically tagged as a thriller, but I don't think that there's anywhere near enough going on for this to be a thriller. It's a mystery, maybe. It's about this guy named Randall and a whole other group of queer people who live on this college campus when the professor that Randall is sleeping with, his husband, his wife, my God, you can tell I'm tired. I can't even words. The professor that Randall is sleeping with is secretly sleeping with male students, and one day his wife, sees that he is having a gay affair and, leaves and drunk drives down the road and accidentally gets into a car accident and dies, and it's presumed to be just a terrible accident. But now that Randall is kind of starting to look into things, he's starting to see that maybe it wasn't an accident. Maybe the professor purposefully set things up to make it so that his wife would die and all of this stuff and blah, 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 blah. It's really slow and kind of boring, but also at the same time, it's nice because a lot of these characters in here are really gray and really kind of scummy, which is nice because it seems like every character in books and shows and stuff nowadays are so sanitized. Even the villains, you got to be the right type of bad so then you can be perfectly redeemable and all of this stuff. There are a lot of characters in here that really I don't like because they do not have good thoughts and opinions. There's one character in here who's oh, I hate gay people who are in the closet. If you're in the closet, I'm gonna find you out and I'm gonna out you to the entire world. No, don't do that. But also at the same time, it's nice that there is a character who has a really terrible opinion like that, because you don't really see that stuff much anymore today. I'm also working on reading How the Irish Saved Civilization by Thomas Cahill. I only have about 100 pages left of this. Obviously, this is a historical nonfiction book about the history of Ireland. It's pretty slow, and I wish that there was a lot more in it that isn't really being going over. The first 2 chapters were, for some reason, about Rome. Don't know why we needed to read 70 pages about Rome, and now a lot of this seems to be about St. Patrick, and that's it. I don't know why this isn't just a book about St. Patrick, if that's what it's going to be about, but, you know, whatever. And then the last thing that I'm working on right now is I am in the process of reading the manga for Dungeon Meshi. I am currently on chapter 40, I believe. I just met Itsumi. Great. I love her. I am so excited for that. Absolutely whiplashed by the fact that apparently there's a man who proposed to Phelan and he's trying to rescue Phelan. I've seen so much Marcel and Phelan stuff on Tumblr that damn, apparently Phelan has a male fiance. Nobody ever talks about him. Nobody brings him up. I mentioned him on Tumblr. Apparently people hate this man. Interested to see why so many people hate him and never talk about him. But yeah, that's what we got going on today. Finishing a whole bunch of stuff. So it has been a few hours and I have now finished Lion Boy The Truth. I'm giving this book 4.5 stars. There are so many times in which I will go back and read books that I enjoyed when I was in elementary school and be like, wow, why did I like this? This is not good at all. This is not one of those books. This is definitely, now that I have gotten older and I understand a lot more things, this book is giving me more because now I understand a lot more of the deeper implications and like social commentary and stuff that is going on. So I absolutely love this book. Highly recommended. Definitely more people need to read this series. I'm also now like 3/4 of the way through The Snow Garden. I honestly can't really give you any specific thoughts and opinions on this story because for a large majority of it, like not really anything is happening. There isn't much plot in this. This is a super character-based book and it can be very confusing to try and keep all of the characters and what is happening when together, but at the same time, they're all like terrible people. And thus, like, that makes this story, like, more compelling. And even though I'm, like, not really into it, at the same time, I still want to experience how shitty these characters are. So I keep reading it. So take that as you will. I don't know what to make for this story. There's technically nothing going on, and yet I'm still into it for some reason. And with that, I guess let's keep reading. Alright, so it's about 4:30 now, and I have just finished volume 8 of Dungeon Meshi, which means I'm about 50 chapters in. I am having a really good time with this. I really, really like this manga, and this is definitely one that as I have gone further into it, I have liked it more. I really think that the fandom is kind of the reason why I am enjoying it so much. If I was just reading this independently on my own, if there weren't so many people who were talking about this manga and the anime now that it's out on Netflix, then I don't think that I would have continued in it. I've never disliked it, but also the beginning was slow enough that I was like, this is good, but it's not like super compelling. But now that I've gotten really into it and are starting to read more about like the characters' backstories and stuff, because you don't really get anything about who the characters were before until you get very far into the manga. So now that I'm starting to learn like Senshi's backstory, reading about Chilchuck, getting through the chapters where everybody like switches their races around and stuff like that, I am having such a great time. I am really loving it. I am liking all the dark stuff that is going into it. Like, this is just so compelling, and I'm having a great time in continuing on through this. I don't think that I've explained what Dungeon Meshi is at all. It is literally just a combination of a dungeon crawl and making food anime, except it gets really dark at some points, and it's fun. It's great. There's a lot of good stuff going on there, so yeah. My friend is supposed to be coming over tonight, hanging out. I'm not 100% sure what we're gonna be doing. We have been playing The Last of Us on my PS4, so we will probably continue with that, but yeah, those are my plans for tonight.
I literally can't. It's fine. Wait.
You could do it, come on! Turn around.
Battle Joe.
No, you turn around.
I'm trying.
Last night, my friend and I watched The Irish Wish, starring Lindsay Lohan, and it was, ooh, bad. I don't think that I have seen a romance movie lacking so much substance in a long time. Most of the time, romance movies will be very tropey, very overplayed, very overdone, but there will still be, you know, something that makes them stand out from other things, you know. But this one had literally nothing. Every character had no personality. There was no there was no thought into like any of the writing. It was just so bad. So bad. I don't know what was the decision with the costuming. The colors that they picked were weird. I was so confused about everything with the book and the main character trying to insist that she wrote this book that she didn't. She's an editor. And editing a book doesn't count as writing it. It was so confusing and so bad, and I feel like I'm probably gonna make an entire like movie review about it because wow, I have some thoughts about this movie. Today, right now, I am on chapter 68 for Dungeon Meshi. There's 98 chapters, I think 96, which means I only have about 30 more, so I'm hoping to try and get through those today. Also, hopefully maybe later I can go and get a haircut or something. So I am headed to go and get my haircut, and I have gotten 86 chapters into Dungeon Meshi. However, I am very upset right now because my computer has started giving me a 403 error. There are only like 10 chapters left. There are only 2 volumes left in this series, and my computer is not allowing me to access the pages. I do not know why. I cleared my cache. I tried several different search engines, I used, you know, Google and Safari and Firefox and all of that. Doesn't matter. It is not letting me in, and it's just really pissing me off. I put a hold in the library for the last 2 volumes, and there are like 4 people in front of me, which means that it is going to take several weeks, if not months, for me to be able to finish this now. So great, awesome, amazing. I don't know what this person here is doing, but I'm gonna go and get my haircut now. What is happening with my hair back here? So I have now finished both of my books that I have been reading. I finished How the Irish Saved Civilization, and I am going to be giving this book 3.75 stars. I do kind of understand now why we read a bit about Rome in the beginning. He did compare the Irish to the Romans at the end. So I guess he did kind of bring it all together properly the way you're supposed to, the way they teach you how to write essays in elementary school. Overall, this was a pretty good book. There was a lot of things in here that I did like. He did end up highlighting a lot of influences that women had on Irish culture and history, and how the Irish shaped Catholicism and their version of it, and how it differed so much than how Catholicism worked in Europe, and all of these different things that were very interesting, and I do want to learn more about it. So yippee, that was good. With The Snow Garden, I am going to be giving this book 2 stars because, wow, the ending all of a sudden went to 100. A lot of things were happening, and all the things that were happening, I was like, what? Huh? No? Sure? He kind of did set up for it, but it also was so weird and out of nowhere, and I just wasn't super into this one. What I'm gonna be doing tonight, my friend is coming over because she had a gas leak in her apartment, so she's gonna be staying here with me for the next few days, so fun sleepover time, yippee. What I'm going to be reading next, I'm not 100% sure yet. I'll figure it out, and then I'll let you know. My apologies if you guys can hear any sort of like drilling or whatever. They're still doing construction here. Oh my god, it has been over a month that they've been doing construction here at my apartment. I hate it so much. It's so annoying. Finish. Just be done with it already. My friend and I are currently having a heated debate about Dune because she likes it. I read most of it. I did not like it. And so she keeps on trying to convince me that it is good by sending me different discourse, but every time she sends me discourse, it just makes me like it less. So recently, one of the reasons why I said that I didn't like it is because it's just a huge white savior trope, and I'm not very big into that. And she sent me this whole like Twitter thread about how like, oh, if you think that it's just a white savior trope, then you're missing the whole entire point, because the book literally says that Paul is worse than Hitler. So you're just missing the entire point by skipping over the fact that Paul is worse than Hitler. So now my thing is, oh cool, this is the white savior trope and we're being super anti-Semitic. Awesome. Hate it even more. Because the thing is, Frank Herbert is actually a really bad storyteller. Yes, he came up with this like really incredible, complex sci-fi political system and stuff like that. I'm not doubting that. He did do that, and that is all really good. There were parts of Dune that I really did do like, but when it comes to actually telling a story, Frank Herbert is really, really bad at it. He doesn't tell a story, he just expositions you to death. So, one, for the fact that in the book they had to literally state that Paul is worse than Hitler, that is incredibly lazy writing. Because if Paul really is worse than Hitler, somebody doesn't need to tell me that. Through all of the things that he's doing in the book, I should be reading it and thinking, holy shit, this guy's worse than Hitler. But I don't, because he's not. And maybe he becomes that way like in the second or third book or something like that, but either way, he's not. And let's say that even if Paul did do terrible, horrible things that was worse than Hitler, let's say that he like got the Infinity Stones and didn't even kill half of the universe. Let's say that Paul Atreides got rid of all life in the entire universe forever. He would still not be worse than Hitler, because Hitler is a real person who killed over 6 million real people, and no matter how many people that Paul Atreides kills, he is fictional, and all the people who are dying are also not real. I don't care what you say, there is never, ever, ever going to be a fictional main character, villain, person, whoever, who is worse than Hitler, unless they somehow rip into our timeline and start actually killing real people. It's not a thing, and I find it to be incredibly anti-Semitic that we keep on trying to do this thing of just saying that fictional characters are worse than real people who have destroyed the lives and cultures of actual people in the world. With that, that's all that I'm gonna say about it right now. I don't want to get like too far, too rambly, get into this. Let's talk about the books that I'm gonna start reading today, because I finished a whole bunch of books yesterday, so now we got new stuff for us to read today. The first one that I'm gonna be reading, because I need a new audiobook, so I'm going to be starting the audiobook for Sharp's Tiger, in which Richard Sharp avoids Sergeant Obada Hawkswill and endures to rescue a British officer from under the nose of the Tippo of Mysore. I saw this series at an ARC, a thrift store, and I was intrigued by it, and thus I have picked it up. I'm not super into war things, because I'm not pro-war, but something about this just really got me. It may be because the main character's name is Dick Sharp, and so I wanted to see a little bit more about that, but yeah. We're gonna start getting into this one. And also because it's March and I kind of just want to get like all of my Irish books that I have out of the way. I have The Great Irish Tales of Horror, which is an anthology of a bunch of different Irish horror tales. So I'm gonna start reading that as well. So I have quite a few things that I gotta update you guys about since I last checked in. I listened to the first 50 pages of A Sharp's Tiger and I am pleasantly surprised with how much I am actually liking this. Our main character, Richard Sharp, is fighting in the British Army in India, except he does not want to be there. His plan is to marry this woman that he really likes and then immediately desert. So like, yes, king, go off. The author does a very good job of portraying the racism that a lot of these characters would hold and have at this time, while also still having like a lot of diverse characters and also showing that the author himself doesn't believe this. We do get some point of view from like the opposite side, from the king who is fighting, the Tipu of Mysore. I don't really know anything about that. I feel like this is going to encourage me to kind of look into some of the history of these battles that is being written about, because this takes place in 1799. It says it right here on the spine. And I feel like I'm going to be learning quite a lot about history and the way that the British fucked over different people through reading this book. I have also decided that since this is a book that is filled with short horror stories, I don't need to like read them all at once. I could do the thing where I read like one a day. So I read the first horror story in here, and when you say the phrase Irish horror stories, I kind of think of Edgar Allan Poe type things, you know, the Headless Horseman of Sleepy Hollow, you know, that type of thing. Whereas the first story in here was not that at all. I wouldn't even classify it as a horror story. It was much more thrillery because it was kind of just about different guys who were in the IRA who disagreed with different ways that they should go about attacking the British and different places that they should bomb as a part of the IRA. So that was kind of just like a lot more political / thrillery than anything. I don't know what that says for the other stories that are going to be in here, but that was interesting, I guess. I also ended up sitting down and reading from start to finish Daddy Longlegs by, I don't remember who it's by. It doesn't say it on here because this is all in kanji. I know that it's all in kanji. I can't read kanji, but there is also like the English translation on the opposite side, so that's kind of how I read this. This is a classic novel that follows a girl who was born in an insane asylum. They keep calling it the asylum. It's more like an orphanarium, you know, where kids who don't have parents live. And this girl is 17 and she isn't really destined for anything, but one of the guys who donates a lot of money to the asylum decides that she is showing enough potential that he's going to send her to college completely for free for 4 years. She can learn whatever she wants and all that. And this consists of all of these letters that she's writing to him, because the only catch is that she has to write 1 letter a month to this guy, letting him know how her studies are going. So that's what she's doing. She calls him Daddy Longlegs because she doesn't know anything about him. Like, he says, "My name is John Smith." They never meet face to face. He says that his name is John Smith. She knows that that's a fake name. And so she decides to call him Daddy Longlegs because she sees him one time from the behind, and he's like really tall and slender. And so this consists of 4 years of her writing letters to him about her life that is going on. And I ended up giving this book 4.5 stars because so much of this reminded me of Cyrano de Bergerac, where it is about a man who falls in love with a woman from the distance, and he loves her because she's doing her own thing, and the way that he shows his love for her is by continuing to allow her to do her own thing and live her best life. So there were a lot of things that I enjoyed about this. It was a little bit slow and boring at times because it's not very plot heavy. It's very character based and very one way. You know, he never writes any letters back to her. She knows absolutely nothing about him at all until like the last few pages. But it was still great. I still really enjoyed it. So that was what I have read. My current plan is to start Daughter of No One by Sam Liedel, because this is a pretty short book. It's only about like 230 pages, so I feel like I can probably get through this one pretty quickly. So yeah, let's do that. Wow, look, I feel like the cover matches my hair so well. Look at that. So I think I'm actually going to wrap up my vlog here. I was only able to get like 10 pages into The Daughter of No One. I read like the prologue and that's it. So don't really have any thoughts or opinions to be able to give you about that one yet. But thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me today. If you like this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more. Blah, 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 obligatory YouTube outro. But besides that, thank you so much. Make sure to stay safe and have a fantastic day. Bye.